Hey guys, I'm Chuck Kelly, owner of Eclipse Property Management, and I always get asked about our pricing for owners to manage properties. And so I wanted to do a short video kind of explaining the pricing process and how it works, and that way you know upfront everything you're going to get charged for. So the first thing I should say is you should check out our pricing page. It's at renteclipse.com/pricing, where you just click on pricing right there on our menu. But this gives a breakdown of the 3 different levels of service that we have. And I'll get into that more in a second. But the first thing I wanted to say is we don't work with just every owner and every property. So if you have a property and you're interested in us managing it, we're going to need to look at the property first to make sure that it meets our criteria, because we have the best tenants that come to us looking for properties, and so we're going to want to put them in the best properties. So I'm not saying it has to be amazing, I'm just saying that it has to be in good shape. One of our rules of thumb is if we wouldn't live in it, we won't manage it either. So just keep that in mind. If it is distressed or there's some deferred maintenance, no problem. We'll still manage it for you as long as you're willing to fix it up and make it a nice property. So, okay, moving on to the different levels of service. We have 3 levels of service depending on what kind of investor you are and what you're looking for. The first is entry level, then full service, and finally concierge. And I'm going to talk about the 3 different plans a little bit more. So there's also different ways we price, different fees we charge. So the one everyone's most familiar with is the management fee. This is a percentage based with a minimum. So you can see it on our website under the pricing page, but each level has a different fee associated with it. And so if we've collected the rent, for example, $1,000 comes in rent and the fee is 12%, then we're going to collect $120 for us. And there's a minimum, and let's just say the minimum is $107 for that plan. Then since that $120 is more than the $107, you're all good. But if the rent was lower and so the fee was only $70, then it would be the minimum for each plan. It's a little confusing, but it's really only one of those things you need to think about once. We also charge a leasing fee. We call it a tenant placement fee, but most property management companies call it a leasing fee. It's not, you're probably familiar with how property management companies usually charge 1 month's rent or a half month's rent for that. We don't do that. It's just a flat rate. It's the same for every tenant, just to do the lease with a new tenant, okay? We also charge a lease renewal fee, which is similar to the tenant placement fee, but it covers when we're putting the same tenant, we're renewing them year to year, and that one is a very small fee, much smaller than the tenant placement fee, but it's also a flat rate. Additionally, we charge a setup fee, and we sometimes will charge, if we send a tenant a gift, that's explained on the pricing page as well, and then to close out the property, or if we want us to work with a sales agent, we'll charge a fee for that. And then we even have a catch-all if you need me to go to a hearing for you or something, we can do that too. One of the questions I always get about is what's the difference between these 3 levels of service? And it's all explained on the website, on the pricing page with little check boxes. But some of the big highlight differences are if you get the concierge plan, we're going to try to do more advanced marketing. We're going to try to get better video, maybe even a 3D tour if we can get that, that kind of thing. That's optional under full service for an additional fee. We're going to put it on Facebook. We're going to try to get more tenants on the concierge plan. We call it featured advertising. For the entry level, one of the big differences with it is that we're going to charge per work order. So this is why most people who gravitate towards the entry level plan is if it's a brand new property and they feel very confidently that there's not going to be any maintenance, because that's included in full service and concierge. So that coordination with the handyman and all that usually ends up being that the full service plan is the most cost effective for most people. We'll also include on full service and on concierge tenant liability insurance, making sure that they have that, and if they don't, automatically enrolling them in our program. We'll also automatically send a tenant a furnace filter at their expense to make sure they're changing the filter to try to not cause damage to your furnace. Of course, we'll always do exterior drive-by inspections. We do interior inspections on the inside of the property on the concierge program only, or there's an additional fee if you want us to do that on the full service plan. And except at move out, of course, we always do that. But the biggest difference between all the plans is the SureVestor insurance. This is a really great insurance product. They only offer it to landlords through property management companies. So you can't go get this on your own or whatever. You have to work with a property management company that the SureVestor insurance people have vetted and make sure meet all their requirements. And we are one of those. On the concierge program, it's included. It's just part of what you get. It's optional on the full service plan, but it's not available on the entry level. So a couple things that SureVestor insurance includes malicious damage. If the tenant does malicious damage to the house, up to $50,000. If they just skip out and stop paying rent, it'll cover up to 8 weeks of rent. 10 weeks if we have to evict them, or 12 weeks if the main tenant or the tenant passes away. It also covers up to $1,000 worth of damages for service animals, $25,000 due to damage or theft, damage due to theft, sorry. Then if we have to evict them, they'll cover up to $7,000 worth of attorney's fees. And then they'll even cover $400 to rekey the place. So that all works out pretty great. The SureVestor insurance is awesome, and it's included in concierge. It's additional under the full service plan. So if you have questions about the pricing, please reach out. But I wanted to cover just real quickly some of the things that we do and how we function. We're a full service property management company. That's our primary role. We will help you advertise the unit. We'll find the tenant for you, screen the tenant, pick the tenant, sign a lease with them, make sure that we did all that according to fair housing law, that we're not violating that, all of that stuff. And then we'll also coordinate all the maintenance. And when a tenant calls at 2 a.m, we'll take that call, coordinate that handyman or plumber or whatever. When the bill comes in, we'll get that paid with the rent, all of that stuff. When they move out, we'll do the move out inspection. We will handle their security deposit, make sure that gets done legally so you don't get hit with treble damages, and just process all of that. And then turn around and do the same thing again, right? Finding a new tenant, advertising it, all that. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Our website is renteclipse.com, and our phone number is 719-581-RENT. And again, I'm Chuck Kelly, and I'm the owner of Eclipse. If you ever have questions for me, my email is chuck@renteclipse.com, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions you have. Thank you. Talk to you later.